updates, really. I believe the two of them spoke. I mean, it sounds wild. At the moment, AJ doesn't have a World Heavyweight Championship. He's not trying to unify, so would he do it? Yeah, probably. I mean, it's a huge money fight. It's a straightforward job. And, you know, Jake Paul likes to create these wild moments, and that would certainly be a wild moment. But, you know, then he threw in 2026 at the end. I wish he'd just do it in 2025 if he wanted to do it. So I don't take it too seriously in that respect right now. Do I think Jake would do it? I think he's mad enough to do it, yeah. So we'll see, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. If it does, great.
Is there any part of you that almost feels a bit reluctant to give Jake that opportunity in a sense?
Really? Because if you have that kind of mindset, you'll always butcher yourself. You know, but that's what I say to fighters as well. Don't worry about what they're getting. Worry about what you're getting, and worry about what this opportunity is bringing. Jake Paul could make hundreds of millions for that fight. Good luck to him. Say, yeah, don't do it because you're giving him the opportunity to do it. He's fine. Let him have it because we're having what we're having. Thank you very much. Bosh, 1 round knockout. See you later. Raided the bank, and that's what would happen in that fight. So, yeah, if he's wild enough to do it, never say.
Eddie Hearn recently had a live confrontation with Jake Paul after Paul called out Anthony Joshua. While Hearn didn't take Paul's challenge too seriously, he admitted that Jake Paul is a master at creating attention and generating huge money-making fights. Despite the doubt surrounding Paul's boxing skills, his ability to stir up excitement is undeniable.
I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua. I know I will beat. Knocked out, right? Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. But I want to fight you. I will beat Canelo. I will beat a lot of people.
Jake Paul has made bold claims about Anthony Joshua, suggesting that Joshua doesn't have a chin and lacks skill. This has caused quite a stir in the boxing world. Given Joshua's impressive career, multiple championship titles, and his battles against top fighters like Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Usyk, many believe Paul is just trying to grab attention by disrespecting a highly accomplished boxer.
Good for the sport of boxing.
Yes, I know these guys. They're unbelievably bright. I mean, Logan, much brighter than Jake, in my opinion. But Jake's smart. Okay. Content creator. I mean, we have our ups and downs. Yeah. I respect Jake. I actually respect him in a boxing sense as well. But we fell out because I told him he was average. That's actually a compliment. Like, to be an average fighter, coming to this kid who's 26, 27, decides to go into boxing. We had a conversation where he's actually telling me he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. And I'm looking around for cameras. I'm thinking, am I mic'd up here?
Eddie Hearn, a well-known boxing promoter, has called Jake Paul's boxing abilities average. He has consistently questioned whether Paul has the skill to compete at the highest level, especially against someone like Anthony Joshua. Hearn argues that although Paul has improved over time, he's still far from the level required to fight elite heavyweights.
Well then, it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and I'm actually being dead serious. I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in France, I think Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or or Mayweather McGregor.
Also pointed out that Jake Paul has made outrageous claims, such as saying he could beat Canelo Alvarez. Hearn finds his claim to be ridiculous, thinking Paul is massively overestimating his own abilities. While Paul has won against former MMA fighters and less experienced boxers, the idea that he could compete with world-class athletes like Canelo or Joshua seems laughable to many experts.
Earlier days of that influencer world, we did the second Logan Paul KSI fight in LA. Numbers were huge. We did Jake Paul's professional debut in Miami in 2019 around the Super Bowl. And then I think we made a decision to move away from it because I think the focus of our business was we got to just keep focused on professional boxing. Maybe in 10 years we'll look back and go, crazy, should have kept on doing that.
He genuinely thinks he's a world-class fighter. Like he thinks.
So that's not bullshit.
No, he comes up to me at that fight and he's going, I beat Canelo. And I was like, and I looked at him. I was looking for his mic, because I thought maybe he wants to capture a bit of this for social content. Yeah. And he's not wearing one. And I'm like, I'm looking for a camera, and there's no camera. I went, what? And he went, I will beat your boy, Canelo Alvarez. I'm like, Jesus. Mate, you are, because he's got all these guys in the gym like telling him he's, and he's not. But he didn't like it because I said to him, you're average.
Yeah, I've ever seen an interview with that.
I said, that's a compliment. Like there's a 95.
I'm being nice to you.
I said 95% of fighters are average. Yeah, but he's better than some pro fighters like that. I thought that was a big compliment, but he didn't like it. No.
Love it.
When asked about Jake Paul's challenge, Anthony Joshua reportedly laughed it off, saying Paul is only doing it to stay relevant. Joshua believed that Paul needs to keep his name in the spotlight, and fighting a superstar like Joshua would bring a lot of publicity and money to Paul. In recent years, influencer boxing has become incredibly popular, drawing in big pay-per-view numbers. However, the boxing world is now trying to return to professional fights and move away from these influencer events. Still, the combination professional boxers and influencer fighters continues to excite fans, especially younger ones.
Joshua to return. We've heard absolutely nothing about it. Now, the Daily Mail are saying that Anthony Joshua is actually injured. Return timeline, as Eddie Hearn reveals, the heavyweight is unable to enter even training camp due to an injury setback. Anthony Joshua's estimated return date has been detailed after Eddie Hearn reveals the heavyweight has suffered from a setback. The Brit has been out of action since he lost against Danny Dubois in Wembley last September. With his future up in the air on the back of the devastating knockout defeat, fans have been curious to know as to what his next move is, with no announcements made despite reports he could face longtime rival Tyson Fury as soon as this year. Now, however, it's been revealed that Joshua is dealing with an injury, as revealed by Eddie Hearn when asked if Joshua could face Dubois in a rematch after the champion pulled out of his fight against Joseph Parker due to illness. Let's carry on. That's kind of a bit more of a miscellaneous stuff. No rematch with Dubois will be happening anytime soon, though, Eddie Hearn revealed, as he details when fans can expect Joshua's return to the ring. So we won't be seeing Anthony Joshua in the ring against Daniel Dubois for a rematch. That's not going to happen. I'm going to quote Eddie Hearn here directly. Now, it's interesting because Eddie Hearn hasn't really revealed much detail on it, but bear with me. It says, not a lot to report. Not a lot to report. Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn told IFL from Australia, look, he resumed training, and to cut a long story short, without going into too much detail about any injury, he's not really ready to start camp. He needs another 8 weeks or so on his injury.
Eddie Hearn recently confirmed that Anthony Joshua is dealing with an injury and won't be fighting until at least August. Joshua was originally scheduled to face Daniel Dubois, but that match has been delayed. Even so, Jake Paul still called him out, which has led some to wonder Paul is serious about the fight or simply using Joshua's name for publicity.
Wong, and I'm here with David Benavidez. What are you looking forward to the most tonight at Bare Knuckles?
Honestly, it's my first time being at a bare knuckle fight, and it's already starting amazing, and I'm just here to come to see the gore, the blood, and all that, so it's been living up to the hype.
I want to ask you about Jake Paul wanting to fight Anthony Joshua. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good fight. If they can make it happen, then let's do it. You know what I mean? Jake Paul is a big household name. Anthony Joshua, needless to say, he's one of the greatest champions of boxing, so if they can get it done, that'll be a huge fight for boxing, and I say let's do it.
You were in the talks to fight Sabal. What are your thoughts on that? Is it in the works? So when is it happening?
So right now we're trying to negotiate the fight. It might be in the works in September, but we don't know. You know, everything in boxing is not 100%, so we're just going to keep trying to negotiate the fight, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but that's the one we're trying to make happen.
David Benavidez, a top boxer, has acknowledged that Jake Paul is one of the biggest names in boxing when it comes to drawing attention and selling fights. While some traditional boxing fans criticize Paul's skills, Benavidez believes that his involvement brings excitement and financial opportunities to the sport.
I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he does so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, who's a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level. And then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Former world champion Carl Froch doesn't take Jake Paul seriously as a boxer. Froch claims that Paul doesn't know how to box properly and just runs around the ring. After watching Paul's fight with Tommy Fury, Froch called a mismatch and said that Paul is far from being a legitimate contender in the sport.
Is it all just, does he actually believe that he can beat Anthony Joshua? Is it all for clout? Is it all just to keep his... I don't know. I mean, fucking... It's a little bit disrespectful as well. Like, Anthony Joshua hasn't fucking been a heavyweight world champion, beating all these absolute killers just to get called out by Jake Paul. But look, if Jake Paul believes in himself, then, you know, you can't really fault that. Like, obviously, but sometimes it comes across as a bit delusion as well. Because I know for the fight Jake, I'd beat him up easy. Not easy, I'd beat him up though. And
MMA fighter Darren Till is also waiting on the controversy, calling Jake Paul's call out of Anthony Joshua disrespectful. Till believes that despite Paul's marketing skills, he hasn't earned the right to challenge someone as big as Joshua. Many in the boxing world share this view, feeling that Paul is trying to step too far out of his league.
You have got to be taking the mick. Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua and claims, I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass. You know what? I want this to happen just so Anthony Joshua could just absolutely decimate this man right here. So first he fights Tommy Fury, a legitimate professional boxer, and he loses. Then he fights an OAP and Mike Tyson and beats him. Obviously, he's nearly 60 years old. Then he goes to try and fight Canelo, which fell through, thankfully. Then he tried to fight Tank Davis, which again fell through. And now he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, a legit world-level heavyweight boxer. Anthony Joshua is someone that I've always looked up to and probably one of my favourite boxers to this day and age. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind Jake Paul here and there, but there's just things he does in the sport that I don't agree with at all. And fighting Anthony Joshua, listen, I'm all here for it, just to see him get knocked clean out. The fact that he thinks he can compete with these high-level boxers, even though he lost to Tommy Fury, is just laughable. But how long does it take for Anthony Joshua to knock Jake Paul out? I'm saying 5.
A lot of boxing fans are actually excited about the possibility of Anthony Joshua fighting Jake Paul. Not because they think it would be a competitive fight, but because they want to see Paul get humbled in the ring. Paul's constant challenges to legendary fighters have annoyed purists, and many see a potential fight with Joshua as an opportunity for Paul to be put in his place.
Has generated strong reactions from the boxing world. Many experts and fans believe that Paul's ambition to fight a former heavyweight champion is unrealistic and overambitious. Some think he is doing it purely for attention rather than actually believing he could win.
The Real Deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights, then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind, you're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects in Jake. But in the middle there, I don't know if she would know or, you know, whatever, but she essentially says that Jake was scheduled to fight Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Rafael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional but it's possible. Like, he almost had the Canelo fight, and think what you will about how that went down and how realistic that was going to be. I legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even...
Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua has sparked strong reactions in the boxing world. Many experts and fans think that Paul's ambition to fight a former heavyweight champion is unrealistic and too ambitious. Some believe he's only doing it for attention rather than truly thinking he could win.
Is the most power you've ever felt in a fight?
I would say Tommy Fury. It's the shots you don't see, so Tommy was a little tricky. Mike's punches I could see coming. He was strong, but he didn't land anything clean. So I honestly didn't feel Mike Tyson's full power, but that's good. I mean, you don't want to, so.
I feel like he lost confidence second round. Like, he stopped giving his all.
Despite all the criticism, Jake Paul has boldly declared himself the only real fighter in boxing. He claims that he's the one bringing excitement and drama to the sport and positioning himself as a key figure in modern boxing. While some people admire his confidence, others view it as pure arrogance. Even after losing to Tommy Fury, Jake Paul continues to claim that he's the biggest draw in boxing. While his strategy has certainly worked in terms of marketing, many believe he's inflating his own importance in the sport.
You have said that Jake Paul and AJ could be a thing in the future, or at least when asked the question, you asked
to
make sure his insurance was okay. Is that a possibility?
I mean, look, AJ's not a world heavyweight champion anymore, so we're not chasing unifications and undisputed. Like, would we fight Jake Paul for a huge amount of money? Yes. I mean, it would just be an easy night's work. I'm not really a fan of it, to be honest with you, and it's such a chronic mismatch. But Jake Paul's the kind of, he's so money orientated and attention orientated that
Eddie Hearn has said that Anthony Joshua is not taking as many big fights these days and is approaching the later stages of his career. Because of this, Hearn suggests that a fight with Jake Paul could be a simple way for Joshua to make easy money, especially with the huge financial appeal of such a bout. If the fight were to happen, it could easily become one of the highest grossing boxing events of the year. Even though the fight might not be competitive, the financial incentives alone make it an attractive matchup.
But even giving any credence to this nonsense?
As a boxing purist, it doesn't sit well, but as a normal working class lad, I've been asked by builders, would you fight Jake Paul for £5 million? I never got £5 million for fighting anyone else in a fight, so it's the silliest question in the world. I've been retired 7 years. I'm still very confident. If you give me 3 weeks to get off the couch, I'll probably still beat him with one hand. It's not. Yeah. He's not a good fighter, so it's not even being disrespectful to him. As a YouTuber, as a presenter in what he does, he blows me out the water. That's his line of work. But you're stepping into boxing, another profession. Now to call Alexa Canelo out, I think is disrespectful. To call Anthony Joshua out is lunacy. But we know why it's happening and why he does it.
Forget Jake Paul.
Forget Jake Paul. A lot of tickets.
Paul. I mean, Jake Paul's going to do what Jake Paul does, but Anthony Joshua, and with respect to you and what you did and didn't earn in your career, Anthony Joshua has earned a king's ransom. Yeah. So he doesn't need to be fiddled with this, does he? Yeah.
No, he doesn't. But again, all I keep seeing from people out there is, when is enough enough? And I get that. But when you're retired at 33, 34, and you've got to make that last, now you've got more experience than me in this, dealing with a lot of footballers in the past as well, and business people who have to make a certain amount of budget last. It's the easiest money he'll probably ever make if it does happen, and because of his profile that Jake Paul has, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, he's got a huge profile. That's the only reason why the question will be entertained.
Can I ask you, Paul, about what your view on the Joshua situation is? We've seen him obviously lose.
Some boxing analysts think that Jake Paul isn't serious about fighting Anthony Joshua and is just playing mind games. They believe that Paul is using these challenges as a marketing tactic to keep himself relevant in the boxing world without actually committing to dangerous fights. Many in the boxing community feel that Jake Paul's challenges to established professionals like Joshua and Canelo Alvarez are disrespectful to the sport. While Paul has built a successful career in influencer boxing, challenging world champions seems excessive and unrealistic. That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates.